Hello, this is Mr. Kenyanola, and I'm going to show you how to solve this system of linear equations using elimination. Okay, so elimination. This is part one of elimination. I'm going to give you some other videos, but this is going to be the most basic way to use elimination. And it's when you're given two equations that are in this form, x and a y, and equals a number and an x and a y, and then the numbers are all by themselves. And this is basic because they're all lined up. The x's are on top of each other, the y's are on top of each other, and just the numbers without variables are right on top of each other. Now this is the most basic form of elimination because if you look at the x's and look at the y's, one of these variables has some opposites. So these x's are opposites of each other. This is positive 8x and this is negative 8x. And if your teacher says, oh, what's the fancy word for that? It's called additive inverse, which just means one is positive, same number in front or coefficient in the front. The other one's negative and they have the same number or coefficient in the front. So 8x, negative 8x. Okay, so I'm just going to circle this just so you guys see that that's what we're looking for the basic way of doing elimination. So the basic way of doing elimination just by adding. I'm going to draw a line right here. I'm just going to add 8x minus 8x. They eliminate each other. They cancel each other out. They become 0. So I'm not going to put anything there. But I'm going to add these two. I'm not going to change any signs. I'm not going to make this negative. I'm just 3y plus 8y is 11y equals, now 17 plus 16 is 33. Did that in my head. All right, and we want to get y by itself. So this is 11 times y. If there's no operator in the middle, invisible operator is just multiplication. Opposite of multiplication is division. We're going to divide both sides by 11. So y equals 3. Easy peasy. But if you remember, systems, they require more than one variable. So we found the y variable. Now we're going to plug this back in or substitute it back in to get our x variable. We're going to take any one of these two equations. Let's just do the first equation. And I'm going to substitute this 3 into this y right here. So 8x plus 3 parentheses, please put a parentheses there, just do it, equals 17. And let's zoom it in to look at our arithmetic. 3 times 3 is 9 equals 17. We got that 8x right there. We want to get rid of this 9 or bring it to the other side. So opposite of plus 9 is negative 9. 17 minus 9 is 8. These cancel out. We have this 8x right here. And we want to get x by itself. Invisible multiplication. Opposite of multiplication is division. So we're going to divide both sides by 8. So x equals 8 divided by 8 by itself is 1. So our final answer would be the order pair of 1, 3. And as I've shown you in my previous videos, how do you know that this is our correct answer? Plug both the 1 and the 3 back into here. So if I put a 1 here, oops, and a 3 here, 8 times 1 is 8, 3 times 3 is 9, 9 plus 8 is 17. If I plug that 1 into here, or substitute it into here, this turns into negative 8 times 1 is negative 8. 8 times 3 is 24. 24 minus 8 is 16. Okay, so that's a shortcut way of checking it. If that's too much work in your heads, then write it all out. Okay, so just write it out over to the side and make sure both of those equations equal 17 and 16. But I can't stress, when you get an answer, plug it back in and check that it really equals those numbers. All right, so let's do another example. So if we see these two equations, both equations equal the number, and both equations, their variables are right on top of each other. And to make this even easier, with these problems, we have a pair of the same variable that are opposites of each other. So we got plus y and we got that negative y. That's the key to doing this, having opposites. So if you remember, if there's no number in front of a variable, it's an invisible one. So I'm just going to put that invisible one and make it visible. So negative 1x minus 1x, or negative 1x plus negative 1x is negative 2x. These two opposites are additive inverses if your teachers like being fancy. They cancel each other out. And we're just going to add 1 plus 7 is 8. Okay. And so this is negative 2 times x. We want to get x by itself. The opposite of timesies or multiplication is division. So we're going to divide both sides by negative 2. So x equals negative 4. All right, now make sure that you remember that this is your x value. I messed up earlier, which I edited out. I plugged this negative 4 into the y, but this is the x. So I'm going to take this negative 4 and I'm going to substitute it into my x right here. Okay, so pay attention. This is kind of tricky because we have a negative and we're substituting into a negative. So I'm going to leave that negative there because that was part of the equation. I'm going to also put that visible one that I put. Right? In the original, it didn't have that one, but it's just there. I'm going to put my parentheses negative 4 plus y equals 1. So I'm using this first equation to get my y. Negative 1 times negative 4 is positive 4 plus y. Two negatives make a positive. Subtract the 4 from both sides, and y equals negative 3. So our final answer would be negative 4, negative 3. Now, if you're asking yourself, well, what if I plugged in this negative 4 into the second equation? Will I still get negative 3? Yes, you will. I'll even show you. So just to prove it to you. So negative 1 times negative 4, and into the second equation, minus y equals 7. Two negatives make a positive, which is 4. Minus y equals 7. I'm going to subtract the 4 from both sides, which gives us negative y equals 3. And then remember there's an invisible 1. To get rid of that invisible 1, divide it from both sides, and y equals negative 3. So either way, if we plug in our first variable that we found into any one of the two equations, we'll get the same answer for the y value, negative 3. All right, so if you don't believe me, then take these two, plug it in both equations, make sure you get the 1 and the 7. All right, and our final example. Look at this. All right. We have two equations. Both equations equal a number, but wait a minute. Look at this. We have an x over a y. We have y over an x. So does that mean we're done? No. We're going to take, so here's what we're going to do. We always want them to line up. So I'm going to, excuse me. I'm going to take this first equation. I'm just going to rewrite it. I'm just going to switch these two's, their order. Okay, I'm not changing the value. I'm just going to switch the order. I'm going to put this 3y first. I'm going to take this x, this positive x, it's a positive. I'm going to put it second, and I'm going to bring this 24 over here. So this is the exact same equation. Okay, I just changed the order of those. Okay, I didn't change the value. Okay, they still both equal 24. This is still a positive x. This is still a positive 3y. Reason why I did that is because I want the variables to be on top of each other. Excuse me. So I'm going to focus on these two equations now. As we look at them, we have opposites now, the negative x and the x. So we can easily eliminate just by adding. Negative y plus 3y is, well, let's put that visible 1. So negative 1y plus 3y is 2y, same as 3y minus 1y. These cancel out. Now we have negative 4 plus 24, we're just adding down, would be 20. So 24 minus 4, or negative 4 plus 24. Okay, and then put that multiplication. Opposite of multiplication is division. So y is equal to 10. All right, so there's our y value. I'm going to take this y value and substitute it into one of these two equations here. I'm going to substitute into the first one because I tend to, that's the first one I see. So x plus 3 times, okay, I'm substituting into my y value. So remember that we found the y, not the x. And then I'm going to put the 10 equals 24. 3 times 10 is 30 equals 24. Subtract the 30 from both sides. These cancel out. X is equal to 24. Excuse me. 24 minus 30 is negative 6. So we have our two variables, our two values, and make sure you put the x first, negative 6, and then put the y second, positive 10. And there's our final answer. And if you don't believe me, plug both of these values back into both equations, and they should both equal. Well, the first one should equal 24, and the second one should equal negative 4 when you substitute them back in. All right, there it is. There is elimination, the most basic way of doing it. Check the next video to see the more advanced ways or advanced scenarios. But yeah, there it is, elimination. Find opposites and just add.